People have been searching Nikon cameras for beginners, and I think I've got just the one for you. But because I'm sure these folks are researching with the intention to shop, I want to weed out some things that I'm sure you've come across on your search. You may have come across some channels, maybe even mine at one point, that recommended DSLR cameras as your first. I do not recommend DSLRs to anyone who is getting into photography for the first time anymore, and here's why. Yes, the cost of entry is much lower with used DSLRs and DSLR lenses, but new DSLR products are all but vanished as all of the manufacturers are dumping all of their resources into mirrorless. Replacement parts are going to disappear at some point. If you're brand new to photography buying your first camera, you might as well get into the newest iteration of it. In the future, if you want to see how we used to do it, then you can get a DSLR, a native lens, or even a film camera in a native lens. Speaking of lenses, yes, mirrorless lenses are higher priced with less advancements, but they are better pretty much across the board technically. The mirrorless cameras, though, way more bang for your buck. Way more, obviously. A final note on why I only recommend mirrorless is the second-hand value. If you get a DSLR and decide you hate photography, the market is a lot smaller for you to sell to, and if you do find a buyer, you're not going to get nearly what you paid for it. With mirrorless, you can recover a lot more of that purchase, and the audience to sell to is much better. Now I want to tell you why I recommend beginners go full frame instead of crop sensor for their first Nikon mirrorless camera. But first, did you know that you can get some awesome perks by becoming a member of the Z5 Photo YouTube channel? Awesome perks like content recommendations, early access to all videos, unique member-only videos, and uncut or uncensored videos. Not everything on YouTube is able to be monetized, and if it can't be monetized, YouTube don't like it. But as a member, you'll get access to everything that YouTube deems unworthy of its algorithm. So fight the man by becoming a member of the Z5 Photo YouTube channel today. Back in the DSLR days, it was clear you start with a crop sensor because they were massively less expensive than full frame. The cheapest crop sensor at one time was the Nikon D3200. It was $500 or so brand new, while at the same time, the cheapest full frame was the D600 series at like $2,000. Luckily for us, the bang for buck on mirrorless cameras is such that you get a brand new mirrorless camera for $1,000 brand new and under $1,000 for used like new. For Nikon Z mount, there is a very poor selection of crop sensor lenses. And while you can use full frame lenses on a crop sensor, it doesn't work the other way around, side note, you'll always be dealing with the crop factor, and while the crop sensors are great, full frame is just where it's at. More lenses, better lenses, no crop factor, and all of the other benefits, regardless of how small, that come with having a full frame. So before I give my recommendation, I want to say this. You should only ever buy what you can afford, defined by, I have the money in hand. I do not like the idea of financing camera gear unless you're an established business with regular business and good books. That being said, I also don't like the idea of buying the wrong tool for the job, so it's always better to be a little patient and save a little more money to get what you want and need.
Now the #1 best Nikon camera for a beginner.
Let's hype it up.
With a compact and lightweight frame and the Nikon ergonomics that lead the way in comfort, this camera offers plenty of frames per second for most types of photography, as well as all the basics in mirrorless subject tracking for that new photographer. Better than you'd expect in low light, and that oh so beautiful rendering 24 megapixel full frame sensor gives you colorful, sharp, crisp, and clear photos, and strangely excellent black and white photos, and access to Nikon's industry-leading Z-mount camera lenses. The Nikon Z5 is my top recommendation to the beginner photographer. With a used like new price consistently under $1,000, if you don't like it, someone else will, as this underrated camera is a popular second camera even for professionals. Why? Because it has 2 SD card slots for that peace of mind, and when you combine all of this with the price of the camera, people who already own this camera know it makes the Nikon Z5 an insane value for money. Search YouTube for Z5 Photo Nikon Z5. There's plenty there, because I own this camera too. I'm Z-Wade, the Z-Wade, and Z-Wade Photo. Stay sharp, YouTube.